Go get a paper.
138 what?
Picture, advocate. 138, 14. So we're looking for 138 before that.
You see the paper Bible? Oh, you got it.
Oh, here you are. Okay. You probably find it that fast enough to find it in the electronic.
So what again, Mother Jean?
139, and I read 14.
So 149, 18. I'm sorry.
13.
Okay. For thou didst form my inward parts. Thou didst weave me in my mother's womb. Which
Psalm
begs,
139, 13.
so which begs the question, and I don't know why somebody didn't really teach us this. If we are,
Oh, yeah, you're right. I did read the other part, but I didn't really. Go ahead.
if we are so fearfully and wonderfully made, even from our very mother's womb, why is it like we are the opposite in our life? We live fearful of everything, almost.
Lots of stuff. We talk about the baggage that we carry. We talk about stuff that we have been told, and I've read this how many
Right.
times, and it's not until you are aware, you begin to uncover what's in you, that it really reveals itself. It's like a flower. I mean, you can start with 4. This psalm, 2. You know when I sit down, when I get up. Even from far away, you understand my motives. You understand what's in me. That's what it's saying. And it's reminding us of who we are. You understand what's in me. So the issue is, do we understand what's in us now?
We didn't understand what.
And I think that's what the unfolding is beginning to show us. That the Creator always knew this. Because what's the verse that says that the Creator sees us not for how we see ourselves, but what we are? You know, when I sit down, when I get up, you understand my thoughts are far off. You're aware of everything I do. You come past my path and my lying down. You're acquainted with all my ways. You understand everything about me. There's not a word in my mouth, in my tongue, but you, Lord, know it all together. You know it. You know what I said, and you know the unsaid things that I didn't say in my heart and in my thoughts. And you know it all. And so when I lie, you know that. And the things that are so unspeakable, there may be things that have happened in your life that you can't even speak about. Maybe you've buried those things in your life, but the Creator even knows those things. You know everything about me. You have set me behind and before. You laid your hand on me. You got me. It's like he's saying you made a sandwich of me. You got me from the back and you got me from the front. And I just didn't know this, guys. You just didn't know this. That the Lord, there is a verse, I forget which one it was, that talks about the Lord having our back. That even when we can't see behind us, because we're looking at what's before us, and we might be looking at a thing like in the past in fear. But now, we don't have to do that. We know that the Lord's got our back. Our Creator has our back, because we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain it. Well, you know what? We're beginning to attain it. We're beginning to understand it. We're beginning to know that we know that we know that we know beyond the shadow of a doubt. That's what the knowing is all about. That's what, in the midst of the deepest hellhole that we can think of, that's the knowing that I'm not here by myself, that the Creator understands where I am and what I'm going through and what I'm dealing with. That's what this is all about. Where can I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? As if you want to. You know, now that we know, we've run from ourselves in the past, haven't we? We've run from things. We've run from some of the thoughts. We've run from not being what we were purposed to be. We've run from so many things.
We thought we were running.
We thought we were running from it. We thought we were running from it. But this reminds us there is no way we can run. When we are sandwiched between the Creator, He's got the front and the back. Where can we hide? We think we hide, and if the Creator has a sense of humor. So let's see how long it will take her to get it now. Let's just see. Let's see what she thinks she's got to conjure up in her mind to think she's run away this time. Let's just see. If I were to take wings in the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand leads me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. Wow. Aren't you woke up because of light?
Yeah.
the light shone so brightly from the moon on her. And what she do? Get up and start chasing the moon. She started chasing the light. Yea, the darkness hideth not from me, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to the Creator. So, what it says is there's nothing hidden from the Creator. And even though we think that, what's that noise I hear in the night? It must be a ghost or whatever is we start conjuring up in our imagination. Or what's that noise I hear in the night? Is somebody breaking in on me? Whatever we conjure in our minds, we got to remember this. The night is the same as the day. There is no night as it relates to the Creator. And so for us, we gotta embrace that there is no night as it relates to something being hidden from us. We may not have uncovered it or revealed it yet, but it doesn't mean that it's there buried forever and ever and ever. And so being reminded of the Creator and how the Creator sees whatever is going on in our lives, then we've got to see beyond the negativity and say, okay, reveal this to me. Uncover this for me. It's like that light with on a stand, we put something over it. And, it's like my house, how many dust layers is on the light bulb and stuff like that. It just got stuff kind of dim. All you got to do is uncover that stuff. Clean it up. Clean it off. Dust ourselves off. Dust our spiritual selves off. Dust our spiritual eye and just say, open, open, open. Show me. I'm ready. But you got to be ready. Because you're going to see some stuff you didn't plan to see, too.
You know what? As you discussed this is something my maintenance guy and I was talking about this week. I know when I was coming up, I found myself discussing a lot of stuff this week that my grandmother pointed. When we were little, the older folks would always say, be mindful because, God is all seeing and all knowing. So, we had that instilled in us. I know sometimes I used to do my little hiding. When I was little, my grandma said, I was like, so he doesn't see everything we do. So you'd be trying to hide certain stuff. But I think as we call, as Christians, more knowledgeable of the Word and doing our own little thing, it's almost like we remove from that believing that He's all seeing and all knowing. because we know we've created our own God. And it's more like, it's almost like, it's hard to put my thought that say it works. But the things that we do and say really doesn't line up with what we confess if we actually believe that He's awesome.
We're still fooling ourselves.
We're so delusional in this, that thing that we created. And it goes back, because I remember something this week, and it just hit again, that pastor had said some years back, that the closer you get to God,
More ungodly.
the more ungodly. You see the more ungodliness you see in the things that we've been taught, you know. You see, especially when you're standing in that mirror, looking at self.
Can I piggyback on what you're talking about? I'm looking at verse 7 where it says, "Where shall I go from thy spirit? Or where shall I flee from thy presence?" And I sing this song. James Cleveland used to sing, "God is." And that song is always with me because God is. The universe is. So you don't go anywhere because you're always there. It's always there. You always there. And I think about how they say there's nothing new under the sun, because you're it. I can't go any deeper than that. You know what I mean?
But if I don't know that I'm it,
If I'm still at the cross, and all I see is Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So I don't know that I'm the universe. I don't know.
And you think that you weren't.
Because I still think I'm
Jesus
separated.
wasn't ready or something like that.
Because I still think that I'm separated. I don't think that me and the Father and the Son, that we're all intertwined, that we're one. I'm still at the cross, just calling on Jesus, believing on Jesus.
I know.
So I don't mention the universe, because none of the stuff about the universe and we're one and I'm connected to you, and I'm not that, because I'm still separated with this illusion of who God and Jesus is, and I am, and creation is, because I see everything as separate energy, and I'm still at the cross of Jesus. So
But
I don't see that what you're.
Yeah, I know what
I
you're
don't
saying.
see that. I'm just thinking I'm just supposed to be here and call on God, because the devil's just messing up everything, and I got to sit
however,
Jesus and God on it.
however, I see it, you see it, she sees it, she sees it, she sees it. And look at the people we come in contact with every day, who will start to see it because we see it. So, but they still have to go their own path.
Right.
So, but you were there to help them see it.
I know that. And right now, I ain't putting nothing else on my shoulders. I know that. I'm just dealing with.
I'm not
Listen,
saying
it's
you
on your shoulder whether you want it or not.
I'm not saying you have to do anything. You just have to be. You don't have to do anything.
I know that. I understand that, but that's not what I was posing. I know all of that, because I know all of this that in that room. I'm just thinking of the mindset.
Right.
Say, like, if this is my first time being here.
Yes.
And Evelyn's, what she's talking about, I'm just sitting, I'm the person that's still at the cross.
Right.
I'm still at Jesus. I just dropped in today, see what y'all doing here today. But I'm still
Right.
calling on Jesus, because He is my Savior. He just, so.
But today,
Yeah.
because of our discussion, a lot of those people who are still at the cross are going to be asking themselves, why am I still at what? They're not, maybe not in that particular way, but they're gonna continue to see, and that's what happens. That's why we're here, to put in the macro. So yeah, those people who are at the cross will be able to pull something from the macro of We are one. Jesus is me and I'm Jesus. That's what you were trying to say. So yeah, you were just simply trying to show a contrast to what Evelyn said
Yeah.
about universality and being one, and that there are a number of people who haven't seen that yet, or who haven't become aware of that yet. But I want to go back to what you read about, what you said about God is. And we know that we are one with the Creator. And so you remember there was a time when we talked about something, if we call ourselves anything other than what God sees us as, who's the liar? We are the liar. When we say, I'm so broke, I am is a derivative of God is. God is, you are, we are. They are, you are, the conjugation. And so if we say anything, when we say is, we use that verb to be. And we know that we are one with the Creator. We put anything other than what is not in agreement to the Creator, then that's a lie. That's not who I am. And you got to know that. You got to tell yourself that. Actually, people say you're not a good photographer. You got to know. You got to know that I'm one with the Creator. And whether you see it or not, I see it. I'm one with the Creator. I'm a great photographer. So your is has to be in line with what the universe and what the Creator says about you. You cannot allow other people to put their ises and their definitions on you. And that's what we've been struggling with all this time. All the baggage that we have is part of that. What our family said, what our teacher said, you ain't gonna be nothing because your daddy wasn't. You remember we had this discussion before? Don't tell me what I'm not doing. I am one with the Creator. Yeah.
But and I thought about this too while you were talking. The song says, God is the joy and the strength of my life. He moves all pain, misery, and strife. He promised to keep me, never to leave me. He never ever falls short of his word. I have to fast and pray, stay in the narrow way. And I won't go any further, but what I'm saying is that also confirms I am God. Because
I want to go further.
Okay, go ahead.
I have to keep my life clean, meaning there's a responsibility that I have being part of the Creator.
Okay.
That I can no longer say, okay, Jesus, I'm waiting for you to move on my behalf.
Right.
When the power is in you to move. And you got to understand that my behalf is not just about me anymore. Not about the selfish me anymore. Move on my behalf is bigger than that. And so, it's responsibility in this thing. And that's why we don't want to hear it. And that's why we prefer to stay at the cross. And that's why sometimes we prefer to say, Jesus, if you can't fix it, nobody can. Because that's what the song says.
Fix it. But just gonna keep praying.
To me, that confirms even more. That shows me how powerful I am. Because if God is, I am. And I am God.
Exactly. No matter how it seems.
Right.
No matter what it looks like. No matter what somebody said to you. No matter what our president says. No matter what your boss says. No matter what the person who calls you, who you know talks behind your back. It doesn't matter. It's not enough to take your energy. To spend your energy thinking about the negativity. We have choices, and we can choose. That's the gift that we were given, the choice. And my choice is to choose to do it the Creator's way. We are fearfully and wonderfully made.
You reading from Psalm what?
139.
Is fear in the Aramaic?
Is spiritual in the Aramaic?
Is fear?
Sphere.
Fear. F-E-A-R.
Fear.
Is that in the
Aramaic?
Aramaic?
I can tell you a minute. Is it even a If Janice don't find it first.
Because I feel like fear shouldn't be, I don't know. I just don't see that fitting in with what was said. Maybe I'm missing it.
It doesn't
What was said?
mean that.
It's fear. It's fear in the, what is fear? Is there a definition of fear in the Aramaic?
The Arabic understanding of fear is reverence.
Okay.
Okay.
Translate that as fear is a bad, real bad translation. Is reverence.
Okay.
Hey, I'm searching for the right tattoo. I don't want to see what the phrase "do not fear" in Aramaic looks like.
Okay.
Somebody went tattooed on them. How they need to.
It just don't seem like it fit there. That's why it don't feel right in there. So
Well, but you got to look at it. But that's the thing. We in our confined physical have put words in boxes and without truly understanding those words, and we put our own definition to that box. And so when people hear the word fearfully made, they think of fear as in I'm afraid of.
right.
But remember when we talked about when we first got started, we said, well, what does fearfully mean? It means you're reverently made. You were made in respect. You were made with love. You were made that the Creator took the time to mold you and shape you in its image. All of that has to do with fear, not the negative connotation. I haven't found it yet, but somebody will find it for us.
What?
Fear in the Aramaic.
I thought Pastor just said what it was.
Oh, okay. Reverence.
Yeah.
Reverence.
Yeah, that's
The
what.
Hebrew meaning is to revere.
Yeah.
Okay, that's reverence. That's reverence.
What did you say, Janice?
I didn't.
No.
That was Audrey.
To revere. Reverence.
Okay.
And that goes along with what 13 says. You made my mind and my heart. You wove them together. That's part of that being fearfully made. You wove them together. I didn't do this. Did you make yourself? Actually, did you make yourself? Did you make yourself? Your deeds are awesome and amazing. You knew me thoroughly. Everything about me, every hair on my head, you know. The Creator knows how many gray hairs I got. You might say all of them, right? How many gray hairs I got.
Even the ones I done colored.
Hey, you say covered. That one's covered. That one's covered.
Oh God.
When I was made in secret, my bones were not hidden from you.
Can we talk about that more?
Of what?
Can we talk about that more?
Which one?
When I was made in secret.
Okay. My bone. This is 15. Oh, let me go back to 14. Let me go back to 13. Certainly you made my mind and heart and wove me together in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. My soul even knows this. Before I get it covered in all of this stuff that doesn't make any difference, when I uncover this stuff, my soul even knows that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. My substance was not hid from you when I was made in secret and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. The in secret has to do with even before, I mean, when I was a thought in someone's mind, when I was a thought. And probably even before that, because some of us, when we were intimate with one another, some of us may not have been thinking about the creation that's coming from that in the beginning.
Mm.
But when I was a thought, that thought had to be incubated and nourished. Even the thought had to be incubated and nourished before the actual physical seed is planted. That's deep. That's part of the deep. That's part of the darkness. Pulling it out of the darkness, even the thought itself.
So can I ask you,
Yeah.
will we continually be in a womb? Because even to me, it seemed like that thought was in the womb, a spiritual womb.
Mm-hmm.
So are we constantly in a womb? Will we always be in the womb of the Creator or the universe?
Now that's an excellent question. The womb is designed to hold the seed until the time of its birth. The birth being it's able to I would say that, what's your name?
Di, Evelyn, but
You're one.
yeah.
I must have been thinking about what was going on in Diane's mind, right?
It's a lot.
I would say,
I'm out there on the battlefield with Fort Jackson.
I would say, some of us are being birthed right now, and the birth comes with the knowledge of who we really are. And some of us are at different periods in our lives. Some of us just not realizing it, and we're still at that toddler stage. But, once we realize who we really truly are, I would say that's the time of the actual birth itself. And then stuff has to happen after the birth. We have to be nourished. We have to begin to grow. We have to begin to get the quote-unquote sincere milk of the word so that we will grow thereby. Meaning not necessarily just the word here, but the word here in our thoughts and in the word that's already in us that we have not gotten the depth of yet. And so it just depends on whether you're newborn or adolescent, or I think we have, as it relates to how we act on knowing who we are. That shows you how far we still have.
But what takes place in the womb? You have your nourishment, you have protection,
And
you have
the parts that you start taking, the organs start forming, and you know that this organ is formed to do this, and the heart is formed to do this, and the brain begins to form, and it has its function, and yes.
So my question is, will we always be in the spiritual womb of the Creator? And maybe I'm missing what you're telling me.
Maybe I was missing part of what you were telling me. You were seeing a bigger picture than I was seeing.
Yes, I wasn't talking about
Yes.
the I was
Yeah.
thinking about
You were
our
seeing
spirit,
Yeah.
us.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Somebody was gonna speak on the. Was it you, George, or you, Pastor?
Then,
Go ahead.
we were put in a womb when the skin was placed on the entity, and our spirit Genesis.
Can't hear you.
And we were, excuse me, we were placed in a womb of thoughts, when the scale was placed on the spiritual entities in Genesis. And what I'm thinking of is the world that we are in is a physical environment for the purpose of the spiritual fetus to maturate to the point where it can be what it was created to be, and that is one its creator or just like its creator. And sometimes that maturation point is reached at different phases. For example, when people transition, they reach their maturation point in this earth realm, and they are birthed into the spiritual realm, like a drop of water in a vial that you're taken from the ocean. And at some point, you empty that vial, and that water is placed in the ocean, and immediately it becomes one with that ocean. It doesn't take any time whatsoever. From the moment it touches it, it just is again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Helen, the same?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes and no. I just,
Well, give me the no. Let me say it this way. We are in a constant state of maturity as long as we are in this earth realm.
I think her question is, are we in a constant state of being in the Creator's womb?
How should we transition?
okay,
I think yes.
yeah, okay.
Because I mean, he's telling us here, where can we go that we're not connected to the Creator? Can't go to heaven or hell and not be connected to the Creator. So if we're always connected, then we are always in a state of being nurtured and growing and whatever that connotates.
Well, that connection would be the umbilical cord. Would
Right.
You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Tell yourself that over and over. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. How precious also are your thoughts unto me, O God. How great is the sum of them. Well, after he's talked, after the Bible talks about me being fashioned and the Creator saw my substance and the Creator didn't see my limitations. The Creator in fashioning me sees all that I am, all that I am, all that I am. Any limitations are the limitations I put on myself. And there are limitations that I learned from wherever. But I put them on myself. Or I allowed someone to define me that way. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made.
may I ask something about
Yes.
when you look at that particular scripture and you look at the original text, wonderfully has been added.
Okay.
It actually says that we are fearfully made. We are meticulously molded with great care, and as you said, love and compassion. But the wonderful thing was added when it was translated into the English.
I'm wondering if that was added because most people in the physical translate fearful as something,
Right.
yeah, fear, as a negative connotation.
Yeah, it may very well have been added to imply something positive.
Well, what I'm hearing is that we're still in the Creator's womb in this flesh, and we are meticulously molded, which means we're still being made in a sense. Like all of our experiences, everything, all of our circumstances, all of it is part of that meticulous molding. Even if we cry and fuss about it.
Oh, and your point about all of the circumstances and all of the experiences, that's part of the nourishment. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're right. When something happens that we perceive as negative, we say, why me? Why me? Why me? Well, that's part of the nourishment. You're right.
The molding.
Yeah, I was thinking about the molding too, yeah.
To unfold in ourselves the knowing of who we really are. Because you can probably point to some things in your life that have happened to you. And had you not gone through that, would you be as far along in terms of your awareness of who you are? Would you know what's in you? Would you know how strong you really are? Had you not gone through certain things, or had you not had certain experiences? They might have been experiences, and I know I've had some that I would have preferred not to have gone through if I had my druthers, if I had my. But because I did, and in spite of them, I was stronger as a result of it.
Without them, there's no value. I mean, think about it. The corn, when corns are pressed, the one with the blemish is the most expensive one, or the most valuable. When pottery is made, the blemish pottery is the pottery that's valuable. So the blemishes that we have do not determine who we are, but the way we embrace them determines how we value them.
And hence how we value ourselves.
Right, you're right, yeah.
So we were talking about the concepts of feminine energy and embracing that, and part of embracing that is the feminine has to understand that regardless of what anyone says, that the feminine was created in the image of the Creator as well, fearfully made for its purpose. It has its purpose, just as masculine energy has its purpose. And so the purpose is not to denigrate one, to not denigrate the other. But just like the heart and the lung has its purpose, the spiritual body of feminine, masculine energy both have their purpose as well. And so when we begin to embrace that, when I say we, I mean feminine energy. Feminine energy embraces its true purpose. Then you won't have people labeling women in the physical anymore as this be or that be or whatever. And not only labeling them, but them receiving it and acting like that's what they are.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I think you're onto something there with the idea that the greatest integration is to believe that there is separation between the masculine and feminine energy. And the reason I say that is because neither one of them can fulfill its purpose without the other. they are always one with each other. They've done it several to be balanced. Balance. So integration, separation is the greatest integration that could ever be related towards these energies that we're speaking of. Because without the potency, without the power to press it while it's dormant, and without the press it, there's no point for the rocket. There's always a connection there.
And that's why we talk about the need for balance, that, you know, that doors are opening up and the light has infused this earth presence in that spiritual light, in that walls are being torn down and revealing what's behind the walls in terms of the treatment of women. But we have to make sure we don't go to the opposite end of the pole and start denigrating masculine energy. That's what we have to speak into the macro, that there's balance, that we need each other, and in the right balance, what does that look like? That looks like I don't denigrate you, you don't denigrate me. That we know there is purpose for each of us, and that we each contribute significantly to whatever the goal is.
You know, I think that we're closer to experiencing this concept of balance than we know. Last night, is radio on?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, last night, Ray and I had a conversation, and during the course of it, we found out that at the same time, we were at the same place in our thoughts. And it was quite a discussion. However, if it's to be related, my preference is for her to do it because she's doggone detailed and articulate and all that other stuff. Well, if you are comfortable with that, then I think it will give some semblance of the balance of what you said, lady.
You want me to share what we talked about last night?
Yeah, I mean, do you think it fits with this idea of balance? The death of the imbalance of the thoughts of the person?
Yeah. You see more of it than I do, but I do see I was trying to think of the physical. So we were both in a place last night of being, or yesterday, and the night before, being physically in very weak places. And Pastor was saying how that was related to a distraction, because both of us were talking about like being okay with transitioning and thoughts that neither of us really talks a lot about. And I was telling Pastor, I shared that with Mom yesterday morning. Kind of, I thought about death because this migraine I've had has been about 10 days now. And my Gladys died of a stroke, but I keep hearing these comments. I remember her and Mom talking in front of our house, and Gladys said, "This headache is killing me," to my mom. And my mom said, "You gotta go get that checked out." And then she died of a stroke not long after that. But those stuck to me. And then when I went into urgent care, the doctor that I saw said, "Have you had any heart work done?" I said, "No." You know, should they look at your heart or anything? I said, "No." Because of all the left side manifestation in my body when the migraine starts. So I thought I'm thinking of Uncle Everett. And so just in a place of being okay with leaving Joe and the boys and everybody, and knowing that they will be okay, and if I'm not here, the experiences that they would have would be they're the ones that they're supposed to have, and kind of releasing them. And Pastor was sharing some similar thoughts about his experience too. And what we kind of resolved on is that we were both feeling this, that we typically don't go into these ways of thinking was important, and that it was a transition from something that's been strong
of transition is not thoughts but feelings. But my life was leaving this body to the extent that I began thinking about how the kids would be and who would tell Molly Position's father's away and how they were reacting. I needed to probably make some efforts to get some things in order so those contacts would be made. And I felt so deep about it until I actually mentioned it to Phoebe so she wouldn't be shocked with me transitioning. And I actually made preparations to get a message to people close or someone who's close, so that if I transitioned before I could talk to them, they would get the message. And I wanted to write things, a letter, so that people who are close to me would understand my connections to them, feelings towards them. I don't know how to articulate that portion of it, but I do know that it was so deeply felt until I felt the necessity, not just a need, but the necessity in drafting that letter and putting it in the hands of someone. And the preamble to that letter would have been, because it was in my mind, if you are reading this, then it means that I have transitioned. And that resonated so deeply with me until after I spoke with Rainier and understood that both of us were not in similar positions or places, but in the same place, both masculine and feminine. But not only that, also in a transgenerational way. And that I felt like we were experiencing the transition of a principle that should have long transition from this earth realm and ushering in a birth, a life, a renewal of balance between the masculine and the feminine. And I think that became more evident with me even after we talked, when I reflected on the vast amount of feminine energy that came into play during the month of January. And here we were at the beginning of the next month, and in the last month, and entering this one with these thoughts, feelings, experiences, however we want to term them. I thought, and I think still that it was very, very significant. So, does that be a kind of an overview, right? Hello?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm here. I'm on mute talking. Pastor had shared too that what I had been feeling, because I wasn't going to tell anyone about these thoughts of transition, and he said he had felt the same thing. And then I told Mom, because we spoke that morning, and I shared that with her, and then I told Joe too. But it was telling Pastor that made me realize that this was not Brainia thing. I knew something spiritual was going on, but for us to be in the same place, that really helped me to see the spiritual aspect of what was going on. And I was telling Pastor, one of the recent dreams I remember was a dream about distraction. The whole dream. In the dream, there were a bunch of people kind of from school, a bunch of cuffs, just sort of, and we were in this house, and I was trying to teach them a game that I taught my cousins when we were home for Granddad's funeral. And I was trying to teach them that they're all talking, they're all I couldn't tell them the rules of the game, and I went around trying to tell them one at a time, and then we tried to play it, and the room grew, and there was twice as many people upstairs and downstairs, and I was just trying to show them what the game was like, and the whole thing was distraction. I couldn't get anybody on the same page about it. There was all this noise, almost like we were missing something, because there was so much that we weren't listening, we weren't on one page, and I couldn't get anyone on one page in the dream. So it was an interesting dream to me, but it was odd because I felt like it was counterproductive,
Yeah, with my mind, with the something I never ever in my life remembered being incapacitated indoors for so long. I was there so much, I don't think I was in the house that long when I was born. And that being a distraction, then now acute bronchitis, that being a distraction. It was like my thoughts were, it was hard for me to gather my thoughts. And I felt like after listening to radio and realizing the sameness in what we were talking about, that this body thing is my distraction, and it gives me some kind of an answer as to what I was experiencing. I think I described it last week when I talked about how I felt like my body was in a shell, and the outer portion of the shell is actually the spiritual, and that my focus had to be was taking care of this body to get it right or something like that. So I think we're beyond the distractions now, and it is my strong belief that we will, even retrospectively, if not as it occurs, begin to experience some things that we have longed for in terms of this thing called balance and the elimination of all of these spiritual free radicals of racism and misogyny and all these other things. So there's a purging of the spiritual body taking place, not in a genocidal way, but in a way that the body itself physically is purged of the free radicals that can cause it harm, and releasing a stronger spiritually immune system so that we can not only ward off the negative aspects of what we've been experiencing, but also to create a system of immunity in a spiritual way so that they never rise again, to have an adverse effect on humanity. I think that's it for me. That's what I've been experiencing.
You want to say something?
Yeah.
January was the month for new beginning. February, the meaning for that is purification. So, Pastor, we everything is lining up. It is. Everything is what you're speaking about, what you're talking about, what you and Raina is dealing with. It is.
So we're on target. And I by no means mean Rainy and I are on target. I'm talking about humanity itself.
Right.
So Barbara Jean,
Yes.
this scripture that we've been dealing with is actually speaking to everything that we have experienced, and even to the meaning of this month of February and its purpose.
interesting. Well, and I think the other interesting thing is that we didn't really go into the scripture until today, when I had purposed to do it in January, but it wasn't time, I guess. January 13th. But it wasn't time. So. I've been sitting here thinking, and I have to say that I've also thought of my death this month.
What? Wow.
Even had the funeral, and I thought about my children, and they were all just coming up, and they came up together and looked at me in the casket, and I had reminded them, this is not me. I really did, and it affected me to the extent that yesterday, you know, and I say it affected me to the extent that it did not matter. If it was time, it was time. And so yesterday, I took my youngest son, and we went to the bank, and now he's the signature. On the business checking account, and so it's like a transitioning. It's time to, like you said, Pastor, get stuff in order, because you don't, you know, it's a physical expression of a spiritual kind of thing, that you don't want stuff holding you back and holding you down and distracting you. It's you know, it's just, it is what it is, and when it's your time to transition, it's your time to transition. It's not a negative. It's a positive, actually. And so yeah, I've been to my funeral this month. I haven't shared that with anyone.
That's major. I mean, that's because I wasn't afraid, of course. It was very matter of fact. This is what needs to be done. So be it. And I remember even thinking about the people I covered and how well things would be and how effective on the other side with interacting with the teachers to make sure that things, that the teachers saw things that we were always searching for so long. It was like a planning process as opposed to something that was coming to an end. It was more continuation.
Can I tell you this? I'm still reading. February is a February is a transitional month. And so February meaning and symbolism will have a transitional feeling too.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
And Pastor, you can't go nowhere because I won't have nobody to pick at me or me to pick at on this side.
You got Janice and Shelby.
It ain't the same.
Yeah, but I think the bigger meaning of what we're talking about in terms of transition is just being all right with where you are.
Yes.
Which means then that and being ready to move on into this, as you said, Pastor, this issue of seeing what balance really is like. Because if you get beyond your own mortality and trying to worry about how it's going to be, then that's done. I've seen that. It's okay.
Right. Exactly.
Now we'll be more ready and able to envision what balance truly is without trying to put our own definition on it. Just letting it unfold and reveal itself. And so
Even this dealing with this verse of being fearfully and wonderfully made, that's transitional too, in that we get our thoughts transition so that we understand that that we are not separated from the Creator, so that we do away with the delusions of all the stuff that we let distract us.
Even the delusions of death,
Yeah.
Right.
the illusion of death, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the whole thing we've been talking about today is transitional.
So that energy that we've that light energy that has been shared really has been shared. It really has permeated us spiritually. In that, again, we didn't know how our discussion would go this morning. We probably didn't know how it was going to go last week. It just unfolded itself. And that's the expectation that we have to move forward with, that things will unfold themselves as they need to and as it needs to be. And we are just there. We are part of that unfolding. Other thoughts? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Barbara, and everyone, I'm just so grateful, just for the dialogue and what I'm hearing in the spirit. And, when the scripture talks about to be fearfully and wonderfully made, the fearful definition in the Hebrew talks about to be in awe of. To be in awe of,
yeah,
or to stand in awe of. And it's like to appreciate the importance of the oneness that we are, but receiving from the feminine energy our connectedness in terms of being invited into those sacred places. And when I'm thinking about, again, in terms of just as a woman, birthing a child, and for a man to have the opportunity to see that birth. I don't know if it was just a custom in the past that, when a woman was birthing a child, the male had to stay like on the outside and wait till the baby is born, and then, the male will come in. But I think that there's just something special about being able to bear witness to a birth of a child, because the sacredness in terms of really becoming one, I believe that there's an energy or there's a teaching that's coming forth now that, the feminine energy is releasing, this power, in terms of who we really are. And I'm just, really encouraged and excited about really trying to adhere to what wisdom is saying, but realizing the importance of the sacredness between, a man and a woman, and receiving the teaching that we're sort of getting in this way today. So it's like to stand in awe of something is to really respect and to honor, that which we have an opportunity to bear witness to. So, again, as far as wisdom being a principal thing, I think that there's a lot of love, there's a lot of, energy that's coming out, in, the new year, coming out in this month. And, and I hope that, as a man, I can continue to appreciate what wisdom is giving, and then at the same time, becoming one, that we can be that light to bring that harmony and unity to the universe. So, it's a blessing, to be able to understand that we're fearfully and wonderfully made, but that fear is to stand in awe, to appreciate, to appreciate that awakening. If that's a good word to use, but I think awakening is taking place right now, and we're bearing witness to. I'm done, sorry.
Okay, thank you, George. Other thoughts? Alrighty then. Anything else today? That's a lot. It's a lot to think about.
There was one thing. I don't think I shared this dream with you, Mom. I shared it with Pastor. I think it's a good place to leave it because the dream itself only kind of shows a glimpse of what was going to happen. But I dreamt that there were lots of people in kind of a fortress or city. And but something had happened outside of that city. You know, the land had become desolate almost, and people were moving into the fortress. So the fortress was taking in all these people that they hadn't had before, and resources were tight, and they didn't know where they were going to get them. And then there were these folks who remembered a place underneath the fortress, even that there was plenty there. There was more room. There was just more stuff to feed all the people who were coming in. And they were trying to remember where it was. And hold on a second, VJ, can you take that out of the room, please? Sorry. And they were trying to remember where it was, and they were thinking about old scrolls and things, and they remembered that there was this sign in the stars that they would trace, and these doors would open, and through those doors would be this place of more, you know, within the fortress. And it was a lot of men and a woman. And as they were talking about it, someone recalled where the place was. And so they go there, and the woman, they realize there's something there on the ground. They see the doors. The woman goes and sits in a chair. And it was odd because then all these people were whispering about, what does she think she's doing? Why is she sitting in that chair? Because it's almost like a throne. What is she doing? She's sitting in this throne. And they were just kind of talking mean about her. And then someone went to the door and they started to do things. And there were people in front of the door. And as they were making these moves to try to figure out what was going on, they would be wished off the board. And as they were being wished off the board, I forgot to say this, Pastor, as they were being wished off the side of the board, it was revealed it was a chessboard. And there was one person who you figured was going to be the hero of my dream because he was very prominent. And then a move is made with them trying to open the door, and he's wished off the side off a cliff and falls in an icy lake. I see him kind of swimming up there, but I don't know what happens to him. But the woman is still there sitting in that chair. And when she sat down, she didn't do anything. She just sat, and she just owned the space. Like, this is where I need to be, and didn't listen to any of the murmurings. And then there was someone, and I think now, Pastor, it was the king, a pawn who had become the king, was tracing out that pattern and trying to remember it. And there was a bishop who had stood by his shoulder trying to explain to him and what's going on. And I knew the bishop because the bishop moved away from that pawn king diagonally back onto the same rank as the queen. And the pawn king traced it properly, and the doors opened. And I realized something else too. The queen, the most powerful piece on the board, was there protecting the pawn king who opened the doors. And then the doors opened, and I saw bits of it after. They were walking down there, and there was a woman in charge. I don't know if it was the same one who was the queen on the chessboard. And they were talking about the hydroponics and how they could grow things here, how there was so much space here to accommodate people. And, there was just this sense that there was now enough for everyone, that they had found a storeroom in the fortress that had enough to meet everyone's needs.
Wow.
And that was all I got out of the dream. But like I said, I couldn't see much beyond it, but I saw a glimpse of something.
Wow. Man, you saw out of the drought and the dearth of religion, people found sanctuary. Because religion is sort of like the nuclear bomb that has really just decimated everything around it and caused it to be almost an area where you don't live. You can't live, or you can't stay there and live. And so people were seeking out of that dearth of dryness and decay and barrenness. They were seeking life, and even those who had access were seeking ways that they could help all of those people, even though they knew that what looked like limited resources, they knew that there were other resources available, and they just had to find a way to get to it, to make it available.
Well, and I'm realizing something else about it as you say that too. I think before that point, they hadn't taken a woman with them to open the doors. And it was important because the queen could protect both the king and the bishop on the board while they were opening up this new area. And Pastor was saying, yeah, the queen's the only female character, female piece on the chessboard, and yet is the most powerful. And without bringing in the feminine energy, there was no way there were enough pieces to protect the opening of these resources.
Your dream sort of says to me what balance can look like. The woman had to be in position, the feminine energy had to be in its position in order for anything else of importance, and I mean importance in terms of spiritual access to resources. In order for that to occur, the woman had to be in, the feminine energy had to be in its rightful position.
Yes, the rightful position on the board. And then afterwards, feminine and masculine together were opening up these rooms and these, whereas at the beginning of the dream, I had a male hero. There was a man who they thought was going to save them.
Yeah.
And that male piece, who I think was a knight on the chessboard, got swiped off the board and thrown over a cliff and into the water.
And the feminine energy took her position despite what the thoughts of the people were.
With such glee.
Sorry. That's how they do those chess pieces. That speaks to me of what balance looks like. That's what I mean. It resonates, and I can't put words to it. Can't put total words.
Yeah, I didn't quite know what it was when I dreamt it. I just knew it was pretty big.
It gives me the chills.
It does indeed. Actually, now that I think about it, it actually is indicative of what Elohim is. The principle of provision and the power to provide it. And that which was insignificant, the pawn becomes the king.
And it only occurred after the woman took her place, despite what people were saying, that who does she think she is, blah, 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 all of that. She stayed there. She took her place and remained there.
Yeah, she came onto the board. People had tried to make moves and they were failing. And she didn't ask anyone. She just went and sat in the throne, and no one ever thought to go sit in the throne. Or maybe if they did, they weren't women. But she just went and sat in the throne and just sat there, just like no care on her mind. Like, you're not going to move me from this spot. This is where I need to be. And I think the knight person that was the hero tried to make his move after that, but he wasn't protected by her somehow. And that's when he got swiped off the board. I do have glee when I say that, because it's funny, because it's like he's just sliding across the board and it's being revealed as a chessboard as he swiped across the board. This person taking their knife and knocking it off the board and seeing what you couldn't see before because of it was white sand or snow or something was covering the board. And it was just being swept away as the moves were made, and it became clearer what was going on.
Interesting.
And when you talked about the queen in that seat without saying anything to anyone, just sat down. I had a flash of Janice in my head.
You did?
Take your place, Queen.
Oh
That sounds
my
like something.
goodness gracious. I don't know what you're talking about.
Reminds me of that Cicely Tyson film.
I don't know either, but I
Young men and women, take your place. Take your place.
I think it was family reunion or something.
Yeah. Okay, wow, that just gives me chills. And I don't mean that negatively. It's just like a reverberation that just keeps, like you pluck a string on an instrument and it just keeps going and going and going. That's a feeling that I have.
Probably.
Yes, sir.
Maybe that's why a physical male presence is not supposed to be there.
Why?
And why is that?
Me
Why is
today.
no need for physical male presence?
That's too much of that.
Yeah, but what's the why?
I think the reason is because the physical manifests the spiritual. And this is the manifestation of the feminine being positioned to do what it's supposed to do. That's what it's supposed to have been doing all the time, but was limited by the presence of that male energy or the overpowering presence of it. And I think it's indicative of male energy reducing it, or eliminating, I should say, its desire to rule over the feminine energy, as it says in Genesis, and your husband or ish shall desire to rule over thee. And a recognition of that is without any issue whatsoever, just, and not only is negatively, but I don't have other words to explain it, but taking women's position, for taking a proper place so that the feminine energy can be seen for who it is and what it's supposed to be. It's reflective of the garden, in that the feminine energy in the garden was the energy of power, of potency, and the realm of principle. Without the power, it can't function. Keep in mind that when the serpent approached, I use these terms for purposes of clarity. When the serpent approached the woman or the female about the tree of knowledge and good and evil and the fruit thereof, the male energy was standing next to her, was there with her. It wasn't that she had to go someplace and find it else and eat this. He was standing there. But we've been taught differently. So what I'm saying is that it's the overarching energy of the power necessary to bring this principle to fruition is being represented today, even though we have some input in terms of George and I talking, representing that masculine, the overshadowing, the overarching is the feminine. I can see it, and I hope somebody gets enough of a glimpse of it to explain what I see.
It's almost like a physical manifestation of a spiritual truth that's already occurred.
Yes.
In terms of this transition of feminine energy and its place in the universe.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, as it relates to the dream, that believe that I talked about, kept wanting to send people ahead to test the waters, which is why he didn't sit in the throne. And I think that presence, not just there today at the meeting, but that presence in the world of someone who would rather put others in danger ahead, or have them test the waters to make sure they'll be safe, is where even religion's fallen, you know, because I'm not going to be poor, but you can be poor and send me your money, you know, or I'm going to make sure me and mine are taken care of, or, you know, even Trump, we'll be fine, my family will be fine, you know. That sense of, that aspect of greed, or, you know, protect the leader at all costs kind of thing.
I see that light as being the essence of masculine energy. The light is shining on the light who defeats everything on behalf of the ruler. It's across the board. That's the masculine religion principle. And the pawns are those who are really searching for truth, and no one pays them any attention. And when the focus shifts from the religion, what happens? The thing that was insignificant becomes the second powerful thing on the board. Pawn becomes the king. You know what I really believe? I do not believe for a moment that feminine energy and power has ever been diminished. I believe that the masculine energy diminished itself while making an effort to diminish feminine energy. It has come to a place of self-destruction. And the only thing now to save it, to deliver it, to bring things to balance, to save humanity, is the recognition of that, the powerfulness of the feminine coupled with with the masculine understanding the roles of both and embracing them, as opposed to trying to manipulate them.
Okay. I'm still reverberating. I'm in a literal zinging. Any other thoughts? Okay. I think that's a good place to stop today.
All right, God wasn't in the creek, don't rise. I'll see you next time.
The creek might rise and you still might see me anyway.
Nice day, everybody.
You too. Bye, Lavon.
Here.